You always just got to attack it when like defenders.
I think it's like.
You lot have been crying about Arsenal needing to sign players and being required to sign players. And apparently, you know, the Fabrizio Romanos, the Daily Mails, and everyone on their nan and they're probably their dog at this point is saying Arsenal have opened talks to sign Riccardo Calafiori. Now, what we've got to remember, until people are holding scarves and Arsenal shirts and saying it was a dream to play for this club, we have to tread carefully, people. But as predicted, now that July has finally come upon us, the market is starting to really take shape. Now, again, bids haven't been placed, bids haven't been accepted, medicals have not been done. Who knows what's going on? And for Calafiori himself, obviously, it's been a long season at club level and obviously international level for the individual. So he's probably needed some time off. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts. As we know, Arsenal's interest could be or projected interest could be overstated in the media. And that could be used by Bologna to obviously get them to get a better deal and negotiate a better deal with Juventus. In fact, simultaneously, people are saying that the deal for Calafiori, who is alleged to prefer staying in Italy, to go to Juventus has been shot. Now, I've done a video on him at length. I'm sure you've all spoken about him. He'd provide us with a great option, you know, with the left-sided centre-half role, obviously in the inverted left-back role. And again, he's on of the right side of 20 and he can grow with the squad. And he really is an Italian defender. Obviously, they're not Italian, but we have shopped in Italy and got Kirio and Tomiyasu before. That being said, we have been taken around the houses sometimes with Italian media and our interest in certain players. You look at Locatelli, look at Vlahovic. There's several that we could be here all day. So as I said, let's tread carefully, people. But that's my thoughts. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of things. If I share my screen with you lot, the Daily Mail have said, and again, until I see David Ornstein speak, I'm not really on this, but Arsenal open talks with Bologna over Italy star Riccardo Calafiori as Mikel Arteta looks to bolster his defensive options with Chelsea also interested. Now, this makes sense because obviously we hear Arsenal, or better yet, Mikel Arteta wants to sign a left back. Yes, we've got Timber, who's coming back from a big injury and can be used in other roles. Tomiyasu's versatile. Kirio technically can play left back, but I wouldn't say convinced. Zinchenko can do all the attacking and middle third stuff in that inverted role. Defensively, he's a bit of a liability and he does have injuries. And I'm all for that. If you could sign another defensive reinforcement, especially someone that could play centre half, because I feel on the face of it we're stocked at centre half. You got Tommy, Timber, Benjamin White, God forbid, but Declan Rice can play there. Obviously, Saliba and Gabriel as well as Kirio. But in reality, where you look at how a lot of them are utilised, again, we are a bit frail. So if we could get a left back, I would love two central midfielders, but a left back, a central midfielder, and a winger. I would love a striker as well. I think those three signings do well for us. Don't think we have the biggest of squads. Skipping all the way through this, again, apparently we're discussing personal terms with his reps, which actually could mean a step in the right direction. We all know Bologna are qualified for the Champions League and he played a key part in that. And obviously we had to have been watching him generally if we was really linked with Joshua Zertsky, the striker. They played for the same team. And he was the one star, really shining star for Italy during the Euros. And the one game that, you know, that signaled their fate in the Euros, he was obviously suspended, people. So there you have it, man. Good little signing he is, people. Apparently Chelsea are on the case, and apparently Chelsea are even willing to offer players in a make weight. Allegedly, Liverpool have also been linked with the 22-year-old, but have no interest in challenging Arsenal or other clubs for the Rising Star signature. Calafiori is well liked by Arteta because of his ball-playing ability and confidence when stepping out from the back line, as he demonstrated excellently in Italy's recent 1-1 draw with Croatia. Didn't he pass the ball to ultimately the lad who scored? And he did well against Albania. Again, I've done a tactical review of him, so go and check that out. I would love us to sign Jarrell Howe, but if you can't bring this man to the carpet, and yeah, if we could have Timber, Benjamin White, Calafiori, William Saliba, Gabriel, you know, and we're getting so much talented players. Couple of others. We've got some strong defensive options, essentially. And is it just me? It's just dawned on me, people. But is it just me? Or I'm sure Mikel Arteta has probably signed more defenders and more goalkeepers than he has probably midfielders, strikers, and wingers. So as much as I like this Mikel, and defense is the strong foundation, and you look at us, you know, last season, what gives me a lot of confidence is it's not just about signing quality players. They need to come into a system and an emphasis on defending from the front, as you see now with Kai Havertz and Odegaard and people before them, and obviously just our attitudes towards defending as well, reflected in David Raya getting the clean sheet. Take nothing away from him. You know, we need these foundations. I'm all for this signing. I'm all on board. But again, people, I'm not sure. Now we've seen the Bologna director previously speak, in which he said, we'll try to keep Calafiori, but if important offers arrive, we'll have to take them into consideration. I don't think he'll go to Juventus. He'll probably go to a different market, which probably says, you know what? If we are to sell him, Juventus, not that they're not rich or don't have money, but you look at the money in Europe's other top 5 leagues to the Premier League, there's quite some contrast. They're probably saying, you know what? We want to keep him because we're in the Champions League. We've lost our manager and we're going to lose a key player. If we are to sell him, let's sell him abroad, where I'm not saying Arsenal are going to overpay, but there is a bit of a tax in that regards, people. Apparently, Chelsea are monitoring Braithwaite's situation at Everton. I think equally he'll be a top defender and probably should be in the England squad. Romano, as you'd imagine, you're seeing several tweets across the hour from Romano. I'm starting to believe, Fabrizio Romano isn't one person. Like, I know you've seen him on videos and streams, but he can't be one person. It's got to be a bunch of people. Arsenal presented a long-term proposal to Riccardo Calafiori after interest revealed last week. Understand players open to joining Arsenal if they can agree terms with Bologna. Chelsea are still there. Arsenal and Chelsea, the only clubs in talks right now. Let's get this done, man. It seems like things are happening now where the Emirates is concerned. But let's keep it going. What do you lot make of this, people? Apparently, Team News and Tix has had a contrasting view and said, Arsenal are yet to make an offer for Calafiori. The club is happy to be linked to him, which could be one of two things. Arsenal are confident he'll be ours regardless of competition, and they are not actively trying for him and using rumours as a smokescreen. Now, we have seen that before, which is why I said earlier, until a man's holding a shirt and a scarf and saying, I grew up watching Tony Adams, Thierry Henry, Bergkamp, Vieira, insert some of you, big up my older heads, Liam Brady and Paul Merson and them, man, insert whatever player. Let's take time a bit, people. But it is exciting in theory. Romano has said Juventus are not in talks and the deal is currently off following Bologna's decision not to sell to their rivals. Apparently, his agent is now working on the best solution for the player, which you can't rule out going to another club that hasn't been linked or actually staying where he is. Sources close to the deal via Court of Side have said that Arsenal are now preparing a bid in the region of 50 to 55 million euros. He's keen on the move and apparently he'll sign a long-term contract until 2029. And then obviously if he does what he's doing, as shown with Odegaard, Saliba, Saka, Martinelli, Gabriel, Benjamin White, Ramsdale even, if you do what you're doing, the club will reward you with improved terms, people. So, yeah, apparently he's agreed personal terms, which is a great step. Now it's about dotting I's and crossing T's with his club. But the director said he'll be sold. So there is a bit of a willingness in that regards, people. And I do think he would have had interest. Anyone who's watching Bologna last season, you know he was one of the better players and someone to look at. But at the same time, the Euros where you've got more eyes, probably bad news. Good news because the price goes up, people. So allegedly, personal terms are close to being agreed. Arsenal and Chelsea allegedly are the only teams interested. Calafiori is one of 3 defenders on Arsenal's list of targets, and Mikel Arteta has already approved a potential deal. Bologna want around 50 million euros for Calafiori. Apparently, they have a good relationship with us after we got Tomiyasu in 2021. Let's do this, man. Let's do this. I wonder what that means for Kirio, in fact, because he can. I would love to know Calafiori's thoughts. I'm sure if you asked him the diplomatic view, he would say, I don't really care where I play. And obviously in football, you need to be versatile, and he's shown that. But does he see himself as a centre-half? Does he see himself as a left-back? Does he see himself as a left-back that can play centre-half or a centre-half that can play left-back? I'm not too sure. And that's bad news for Kirio, potentially, because he could potentially take Gabriel's spot one day. I think Gabriel and Calafiori fighting for that left-sided centre-half role is great news for the club, and they're more likely to push each other. I think Kirio, there's quite a drop-off. Obviously, you know, I personally think Timber and Tomiyasu will be used if anything happens to one of our centre-halves before them. Obviously, Timber and Tomiyasu can be used at left-back. Respectfully to Kirio, I think they're better options. Zinchenko and Kirio, I'm not really... It depends how you're looking at it. But for Zinchenko, he does know what Mikel Arteta wants in that left-back role. And Zinchenko is probably more likely to start ahead of Kirio. And I'm sure Kirio is probably pushing for minutes. I would look to keep Kirio because we need a squad. But the club might say, do you know what? Kirio can't really get a game. We've got other options. Rumors are not actual bids, but bids are being placed at quote unquote based on rumors from other Italian clubs, and they haven't gone away since he signed. Maybe he's someone that could be sold. And I've said it before, for me with Kirio, I think he's one of those that he's not with the Tavares, the Lokongas, I hate to say it, the Teenys, the Eddie Nketiahs, the Nelsons. I think he's one of those that in the Zinchenkos, the Gabriel Jesuses, the Thomas Partey's in that. The club like them. The club won't actively push them out, but for one reason or another, if offers are presented, I think the club's more receptive than they've ever been. In short, they could go for the right price. Where our young striker Chido Obi Martin's concerned, apparently Romano has said Arsenal have offered him an improved contract in an attempt to keep him. As you know, Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich are waiting in the wings. And for me, I think he'd have a good. I don't know if he'll break through to the first team. I think you got the talent, but talent is not always linear. You'd imagine either this season or next season, Arsenal bring in another striker. You've still got Kai Havertz. You've still got Gabriel Jesus. You've still got the option of Martinelli and Trossard through the middle. Also, whether you're a striker, winger, or a 10, only X amount of you can play at one point. So I don't know if there's necessarily a pathway. But what I do know is, you would play a key part for the under-18s and you'd make us a lot stronger in going for the FA Youth Cup as well. You, Dolman, I think even young Ethan is still eligible for that. And I'd imagine he would play a lot of under-21s football. I imagine couple of the boys that probably need to be moved on from the under-21s, one of them might stay just to keep us having a competitive squad, which isn't necessarily good for them. Or the club might bring in someone. I'd imagine if you're Nathan Butler or Deji, Mika Bereth, you've got no interest in leading Arsenal's under-21s line up front. So there's a platform there, really. And I won't say Arteta's got the best of records necessarily with bussing people through Hayland. There's been a lot on the bench. Not too many have made their debuts. But, Ethan's made his Premier League debut and made history in that. You've got on paper Smith Rowe, Saka, Nelson, and Nketiah all coming through Hayland and currently in the first team. So we'll have to see. If I was him, I'm not going to lie, the Borussia Dortmunds and them kind of moves there, it would appeal to me. But hopefully we keep him from a selfish fan perspective. In the last 24 hours, Xavi Simons been linked with Bayern Munich, and there's been rumours that he's officially agreed personal terms with them. If you watched him in the Euros, great player. Just needs to learn when to shoot, tries to be a bit too intricate. Now, if he's going to Bayern Munich or PSG look like they're going to sell him, I am very pessimistic on other clubs being linked because it could be just rumours. I'm sure everyone would be interested. For what it's worth, 90 Minutes said Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City and Manchester United have engaged with Xavi Simons' entourage to confirm their interest in him. However, Simons has told all of his English shooters that he will not be coming to the Premier League this summer. So there you have that, people. Lokonga is moving ever closer, apparently, to go into Sevilla. Apparently, Arsenal will include clauses, if met, that will turn Lokonga's loan deal at Sevilla into an obligation to buy. It's currently moving slowly between the clubs. Sevilla's intention is to close the deal next week, hopefully. And I hope he does well. He does look like the Yaya Toure in the La Liga division because maybe, they'll buy him permanently. But logically, if you're Sevilla and, you probably want him on loan with the option, Arsenal probably want him sold permanently or with an obligation. If you meet halfway and say if certain clauses are met, naturally, let's just say it's a bit of a basic one, but let's just say he plays 25 games and you have to buy him. Let's just say he's played 20 games and it's been a bit mixed. Naturally, if you're Sevilla, you're not going to play him the 5 games in it. You're going to do what you're doing, really. Or it might not be anything to do with Lokonga. He might be great, but the club might have some financial situations. I don't know. But so far, people, let me know your thoughts on Xavi Simons, Calafiori, and obviously this Lokonga stuff. David Raya's move apparently to Arsenal. Not that it's groundbreaking news. Apparently will be officially confirmed as a permanent deal today. So by the time this comes out, there you have it. I know we're not signing Nico Williams, but it just in terms of keeping you up to date. Apparently, Mr. Williams and his agent have an agreement with Barcelona. It's only a verbal agreement, which was reached more than a month ago. Barca had other players on their list, but Nico's performance at the Euros has changed their plan. I mean, anyone can't not be convinced by him. And as we know in business, verbal agreements don't go anywhere. It comes down to what's dotted and what's crossed. Big up Martin Odegaard. He has said last season was good, but it wasn't good enough to win it. We're going to come back even more motivated, even more hungry, and push each other even harder to win it. Think it's going to be a big season. Tell them, Capitano. I hope it is, people. Big up Cedric Suarez, who left Arsenal. Hot take. I think he'll be a manager in the Premier League one day. He's attracting interest from Ajax, France, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. So we wish the 32-year-old, who also can credit Rennes and Nice in being interested in him, all the best, if I'm completely honest. Nico Williams apparently wants to play with Yamal at Barcelona. Spurs could be moving close to signing Doué. Apparently, they're considering a move. I know I'm being greedy, but I think we will come to miss that one day if we don't. This is behind the paywall, but this has said Paulinho is going to Bayern Munich and Fulham have not given up in the pursuit of Emil Smith Rowe. We've gone over the Chido Obi Martin stuff. 3 top Premier League clubs are interested in Chelsea's Ben Chilwell, and apparently there are also top Premier League clubs interested in, depending on what reports you read. I mean, it could be Man United. They've been linked with Reguilon. We've been linked with a left back, you know, people that are able to play there. So you can't necessarily rule that out, people. And I don't know whether this is credible, but, you know, Rio from Chelsea, the 15-year-old who you've seen play for the under-21s, if we could poach him from Chelsea, that would be a coup. And as you've probably seen, we tried to get a lad from Chelsea before. We tried to sign him. I keep forgetting his name, but there's a lad that plays for England and technically Southampton that could be going to Manchester City. So Arsenal are tried to get some of those top level youth players. And you would have seen, you know, we've got a couple of Scottish boys on trial. We've signed the lad from Ireland. We're trying to revamp the youth teams, in which I think we could do a lot better. I think we could do a lot better in how we package the loans of young players that need to go and play football, where you look at Waters and Koza Dewberry, obviously not letting their contracts run out and getting into that situation. And I'd like to see us a lot more competitive, man. You look at Chelsea and Chelsea and City, we need to be doing all of that. I want the FA Youth Cup, as I always say, people, and I'll be watching that closely. I do believe that might be it. Yeah, people, that might be everything. So, yeah, the key point is Calafiori allegedly is in talks to sign for Arsenal from Bologna, and we've gone over some other bits and pieces and isms and schisms. Let me know your thoughts and everything. Leave a comment. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, people, one love for listening. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.